Right, episode mo bibia kwa ban family 2K ni sem blossom o YouTube so ase episode for yaba as usual ensem ahodo a ekoso Ghana ase ne beso me ahwefo ene atiefo nya na episode no kase na ya de sensem bi ababetodwa na saa ensem we no episode ano odene na mempese menko a meje ensem na atena so ne sent no me ba bibiem e de ato hanso ama wonso a wo he channel wonso anya ensem ne bi etie ne sent no answer na be kwa akọ video no message so wonya subscribe en fama me na wa subscribe dem am na bibia so etimi ai kama we do bibias
me ko dru hono no mo dwe se menti twi ana mo kasa menti ase omo si wo haruna obetime owrem ha mo ko tie kai mo tie yie na wo haruna obetime owrem ayaresa bia see government Ebola body I carry, AIDS body I carry, look at my pay. Mr. Speaker, menyo SSNto tro no kejo. Mr. Speaker, no kejo. Na Ghana devio employment na sack no kejo. Tro. Mr. Speaker, tro. Mr. Speaker, now you something. Don't travel Tawani and the Kowada did the shaman.
Ne so akati propose ka beleche katayer dagman lichi
Den e kosui aden obi enye djuma mo pamo mo tro Mr. Speaker menyo me the kukuna government employ the people back Mr. Speaker me the kuku now
Minta oni Mr. Speaker, on this day as we celebrate Mother Tongue Day in Mambini or Dade Kotopon ke Greater Accra fe mi panye fa ke wo fe ke fe wo wiega e fe he hu no je we are in Greater Accra so I'll speak Ghana e fe he no je hu ye Ghana ke akan no jibojio fantanyo jibojio e wanyo jibojio o je not ejio ko obile awie o manwie mo to
emrase be den twiame anopai me dawase so mama kwanya na me kire madwen ewo saa ekwan se Ghana fo nkwala ebeka twi ebeka na brofo kasa mu nso no obi entimi nsisi wo mo ombetimi akakasa no fefe me dawase
sama wo nja wo mbo wo benmedusu ama fama ba fe kamba dina fe na nya mbere na ebo anzama de kekerebe kwasu Ghana no na menimo fa nkombi na fa bukaso etienika wo kerba uba ameshi anufa ne eshi kwankwama ne eshi bimo ba ne eshi Hausa mama yaka nasara sanga kre nasara ni kia kwa shio so ndamashi. Thank you so much.
Well, I want to say Mikrom I have one southwest for Yansu Yabeka Bra Yebedru Abu Bia Yebewrem Ewo Wiase afa na nyina onyame onhyiraye.
So honorable
Mr. Speaker, mbo nsoro zan wa be farafara mbo kan kwen of duma zan wa be farafara mbo fafaduma zan wa be farafara fafariye tole to party to komala zamhe to zamhe fafare to party baba oya to mi non ti koma babure osaka pal baba yeto baka mina ba yeze to we
Minuanom ndanyame asese nda dadue manya kwanya meka bono ewo Ghana Parliament ma abono fo nyina be temenka so rihie da bibe low ranger ya bompa ese nsese abe yese ye nyina ya de bono kasa ebe sua de ye de aka ne Bible ne ye de aye niema wo ye school abusuafo ho wo bono mani ma ho wo sika ho wo afade a ho betima aboa bi ye amfa ne ntoboa ne nimde na ye nhwe se ye kasa no ye ne beje ho ye de adijuma ama Ghana fo nyina ho se ampa ye so ye wo kasa bi.
As I listen to the debate of honorable members, I'm sure Mr. Speaker is not out of reach that one of these days you have to declare on the floor of this house a local language day, and every member of parliament must be compelled to speak and debate in his own mother language as part of our collective quest to encourage the use of local language. Mr. Speaker, the second is to appreciate that in Ghana, there is no policy shift. Policy mandates the use of local language as a medium of instruction from kindergarten to primary 3 before transition to English. The policy remains the same, but Mr. Speaker, there are difficulties. Apart from the Akan language, Ewe, Gaga, Dangwe, Gonja, Kasim, Dagari, and Dagbani, for many of the languages, there are only reading materials at the early grade. What the country needs is for our intellectuals to develop textbooks in local languages for its use in basic education institutions. All the Ghanaian languages in Ghana have no textbooks. So if you say you want to encourage the teaching of a Ghanaian language, how are you going to do it? So, Mr. Speaker, we will, as government, be reviewing the curricula from pre-basic school to primary 6. And we will inculcate in it. I just recently announced that even the teaching of ethics and integrity, so that young people grow to know that they have a responsibility to their country, they must grow to be responsible citizens, they must grow to love their country. We are discussing how ethics and integrity will become an essential part of the training of young people. But Mr. Speaker, the problem we have at the Ministry of Education, and particularly Ghana Education Service, is the lack of Ghanaian language textbooks. We should encourage persons in academia to want to write in those languages. Mr. Speaker, let me conclude with my broken tree. When I was Minister for Labor and Employment, there was a day Mochremen said that they were going to go on strike. So I went to the Kuala Lumpur mortuary to engage. Both doctors were in strike. So Miko Drew Ho, I'll speak to you and I'll end in Dagbani. Miko Drew Ho no mo dwe se menti twi ana mo kasa menti ase omo si wo haruna obetime owrem ha mo kotia kai mo tue yie na wo haruna obetime owrem ayaresa bia see government Ebola body I carry, AIDS body I carry, look at my pay fio as we got to wit and Mochirma was sharing with me his plight as a Ghanaian worker. He said, Haruna, Ebola body I carry, AIDS body I carry. Look at my pay. It is not good enough. You work for government. Go and tell your government to pay as well. Little did he know that I could understand the particular language in which he was doing. Then in some other by-election, I saw some of our own colleagues speaking Twi and Ewe. They didn't know that my aide spoke fluent Ewe. But that one, I won't dare. Apart from Yahweh, so I can't risk anything again, Mr. Speaker. Also, Mr. Speaker, we should encourage the teaching of local languages. The socialization of a child is a shared responsibility between the parent and the teacher. So, Mr. Speaker, you can imagine a mother and a father. If you say the child should go and learn English, assuming the mother is illiterate, the father is illiterate, how is he going to begin learning English in school? Basic. So fundamental is that both teacher and parent need to work together for the upbringing of the child. And it necessarily must begin with the local language. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank him for bringing this UNESCO Day.
Yes, let me give the opportunity to the former Minister for Education, Honorable Dr. Yao Educhum.
Right Honorable Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. I rise to add my voice to the statement made ably by our two colleagues regarding the International Day commemorating the mother tongue. Mr. Speaker, as a former Minister for Education, I'm deeply aware of this issue, the opportunities it represents, and the challenges we face as a nation. Mr. Speaker, as a member of Parliament, when I go to my villages, nobody is complaining about the fact that their children cannot speak their language. When I visit Bonkoko in Bosomchi constituency, no concern. On the other hand, when you meet colleagues and you visit the homes of colleagues, you attempt to say a children, that is when you realize you have a challenge. Because the child will look at you and have no clue of what you are talking about. No parent who doesn't want their children to speak their language. But we have a challenge in this country. The lack of policy on second language acquisition, English language acquisition, then triggers this rush of parents sending their children to schools where they will only speak English. Sending their children to private schools where the language of instruction will be English, because the mark of success of a student is measured by how well and eloquent they are in the English. That parent, they are making investment in the future of their children. The language of instruction, if it's in English, is what they think will accelerate them and make their children do well academically. Mr. Speaker, when you go to countries like the United States of America, there's a policy that regulates English language acquisition for students who come from homes where the English is not a primary language. Students are assessed annually to see if they are proficient in the English language. So parents feel comfortable speaking to their children in their mother tongue, knowing that their children are not going to be shortchanged in the education system. But if you look at what is going on here, at the Ministry of Education, where we have encouraged the use of the mother tongue and actually the official policy, what we realized was that the children cannot do fractions by primary 3 because there was not enough vocabulary in their local languages to teach fractions. But if they were in a private school, primary 3, they will be able to do fractions. We have children who are walking into high schools where they don't speak any Ghanaian language, and they are Ghanaian children. We have students graduating from universities, they're going to practice as medical doctors, and they cannot speak a Ghanaian language to be able to have a conversation with a patient who cannot speak English. So in our middle class homes, there's a challenge. And unless we have an English language acquisition policy in our schools that can assure the parents that irrespective of the fact that your children is being taught in your local language, you can still master English. So there's no cause for your child's future will not be at risk, given what the speaker spoke about. The two speakers eloquently stated the benefits of knowing a second language. The brain's development is enhanced. A number of benefits come when you can speak 2 languages. So, Mr. Speaker, as we commemorate this day and as we look for the way forward, I think our education system should look at English language acquisition policy where parents your mother tongue up to that they will still master the English language and they will not be left behind. When that assurance is given and we have a well thought out policy for English language acquisition, then parents are going to be convinced that speaking their language, talking to their children in Ga, in Chi, is not something that will make them fall behind. Emrasebejen Chiame, Anope Medawase, so Mama Kwenya, Namiche Madrin, Ewo, Sa Ekwen, Se Ghana for Nkwala, Ebeke Chi, Ebeya, Na Brofukasa Monsono, Obi and Minsisi Womo, Ombetimia Kakasano, Fefe Medawase.
Chairpony.
Thank you. Rise to add my voice to the statement. Mr. Speaker, the problem with our, the reason why people are shying away from speaking the local language is because people in Africa and that of Ghana, we are mostly have the perception that somebody accurately speaking the English language is a measure of intelligence, which is not the case. People think because of inferiority complex, and they believe that once the child grows up and pick up and able to speak the language, the English, grammatically correct, that child is going to be a smart and intelligent child. In Ghana today, you go to schools, and in the classroom when children are speaking the local language, the teacher tends to discipline that child, saying it is a vernacular. It's not allowed. Only English here. These are the things that discourage our children from learning our